Hi, welcome to Zekiah's Facebook Live series on employment. I'm Brianna Bowling. I'm the founder of Zekiah and a member of Zekiah's board of directors. And I also have with me Tina Entzian, who is a recruiter at Zekiah. Welcome, Tina.
Hi again, everybody.
So today we are going to discuss interviews, and in particular, what you can expect from your interviewer. And next week, we're going to continue with the series on what you need to bring to your interview and questions that you might want to ask of your interviewer. So before we start, a couple reminders. Replays are available on Zekiah's Facebook page and also on our website, zekiah.com, under Insights. And while we're live, feel free to ask questions and we'll do our very best to answer them. And if you're watching the replay, you can still post comments below and we will answer them next week during our live broadcast. And we also have some exciting news. This is not a reminder. While we're going to be wrapping up our employment series soon, we are going to be bringing you some new talks with some awesome Zekiah staff who are going to share with you what they do technically. We have some really gifted people at Zekiah, and I can't wait to share some of their stories. So we're going to have some topics like, what is GIS and what can it do for you? Or what are the different programming languages? And is there one I should learn first if I'm thinking about learning? So, stay tuned for those, but we're going to go ahead and get started on this, on the interview part of things. So I know that when we, get an interview, probably one of the most common questions are, so tell me about yourself. And it is the most dreaded question probably to anybody who's in an interview. So Tina, why do you ask that?
Okay, Brianna. So this one always makes me chuckle. And if you have a phone introductory interview with me, you can count on this pretty much being the first thing that I'm going to say to you after I introduce myself and ask you how you're doing. And the reason is that it's kind of an icebreaker. It allows you to kind of get to know me and offer me things about yourself. And it also allows me to get kind of organized in our call. And I don't mean organized with your resume or whatever, because I already have all that. I very much prepare for these calls, usually about 15 minutes beforehand. I block off time, I pull up the resume, or refresh everything that we've talked about if we've had a conversation before, in email or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, it lets me get organized just kind of with how our call is going to go. I can tell by the way you answer that question, kind of which order I'm going to put the rest of our conversation in, kind of making it more personal or making it more professional or focusing just on your skills and qualifications, or, chit-chatting about your personal life and that kind of thing too.
And that makes sense. I mean, you want each interview to be tailored to the person. You don't want to be getting a bunch of canned questions or answers. So is there any good answer or bad answer to that question?
Actually, it's totally not even about what you say. It's about how you say it.
Okay.
I kind of want to know, are you a person who is very comfortable communicating? Are you kind of more an extrovert and you like to talk, or are you an introvert and I'm going to have to kind of pull things out of you? And I want you to understand that when we have these conversations with you, it's not that I'm judging your performance in any way. I'm using this as, like I said, an icebreaker to get to know you, to find out how I can make you comfortable so that you can give me all of the information I need about you, and I can then relay that onto my hiring managers so that you have a successful interview later on. I have talked to just about every range of people that you can imagine, people that were incredibly socially awkward. We do software development. We work with computers. There are going to be those that are socially awkward. We also have people that are extremely outgoing, and I could talk to them for hours on the phone. So it's not so much about what you say, it's about how you're saying it, so that I can get to know you and I can make sure that we are going to have the best connection and that we're going to be the best fit. Is Zekiah a good fit for you? Will your personality fit in with us? I mean, everybody wants something different. No company is a best fit for every person. Some people might enjoy working for a big company. Some people might enjoy working for a small company. The things that you tell me in the, tell me a little bit about yourself will let me figure out, are you going to enjoy your time here? Because we want people that want to be here. So that's really why we asked that. I know throws a lot of people off, and I get a lot of people, oh, like they didn't rehearse part, but that's okay.
All right. So I have a question for you next that is, it's kind of funny because we've gotten some. I know that when I used to do a lot of the interviewing, I got some funny answers to this one. So everybody who's being interviewed typically is leaving another employer, right? So what is the right answer? Or is there even a right answer if why did you leave your last employment or why are you leaving your last employment?
So first off, a big rule for me and for most places is do not trash talk your ex-employer, even if they were terrible. Unless they are the kind of terrible that showed up on the evening news and the whole world knows they're terrible, don't trash talk your employer, because the way that you talk about your previous employment is a good indication to me of how you will talk about Zekiah. And it's a good indication to me of how you are in general. And you don't want to leave the interviewer with kind of a negative impression. You don't want to go down that road. So first off, no trash talk. And really what you say reflects as much on you as it does on the company that you're talking about.
No, I mean, I think that's true. And that's where some of the funny answers came was what people go on talking about their last employment. And really we're talking about going forward. We're not talking about going back. So I think those are some really great tips, but occasionally they still have to answer it. Okay. I mean, like occasionally the unemployment there's really something wrong with it. And in that case, is there any good way of talking about their last employment that maybe does trash talk, but is there any way of doing it?
Sure, and that absolutely will speak to the recruiter as well. So there are ways to let the recruiter know. We're very good at reading between the lines. There's ways to let the recruiter know that your former employment might not have been the best fit for you, or you weren't the best fit for each other. And there's ways to say that without actually saying, "Oh man, that job sucked." They didn't have their stuff together. You can put it more in the way of perhaps they weren't able to offer you the opportunity to learn and take your career in a different path. Instead of saying they wouldn't let me learn, they wouldn't let me grow.
Right.
You say, I really wanted to explore this side of my career and I just didn't have the opportunity to do that there. So you're saying the same thing, but you're saying one politely.
I would say that's very diplomatic. I think that's a great way of saying things. I mean, I think in lots of ways, applying for a new job, it's very much like being a politician. So I think that makes sense.
Right.
Diplomacy, the name of the game, right? So is there anything else you want to add about the question or that topic of prior employment? Is there anything that has come up that you think, whoa, I wish people knew this?
There is one more thing, and this is actually something that's really important because it could potentially stop a recruiter from calling you in the first place, from even opening that dialogue. And that is, if you are a job hopper for whatever reason, for a good reason, for a reason that wasn't your fault, you better have a good excuse for that, a good rationale that you better be able to sell that story in a positive way to your new employment opportunity. Because nobody wants to look at a resume and see, well, this person stayed 6 months in every job. They stayed 12 months in every job. As recruiters, we like to see that you're a little bit more invested in the employees that you've had, in the employment that you've had, and that you are going to be likely to stay. Because let me be honest with you, people, recruitment is not cheap. Companies spend a lot of money trying to recruit talent every year. So we want to make sure that we're going to get a good return on our investment. So you could have fantastic reasons that you have swapped jobs several times. Maybe it was for advancement. Maybe you took your career a different path. Maybe this is very relevant to Zekiah. Maybe you were following a project. So you're working on a certain project on a government contract and your company lost that contract. And so you went on to the next company so that you could stay with the same body of work that you were interested in doing. So that shows me that, even though you may have swapped a few times, you did it for a good reason. It wasn't that you just, didn't have to, I don't know, how do I put this, as you said, tactfully? Wasn't that tired of working there over and over again?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and job hopping does matter because in the end, we want you to be a long-term employee. And Zekiah has been really fortunate in that a lot of our employees have been with us for a decade or more. We've had some really awesome employees and, we were very, very fortunate in that way. And so and those are great tips, Tina. Really appreciate those. So now I have one last topic for you. And this is a touchy one. And it regards salary. Okay. So frequently, one of the questions that either you or almost every recruiter is going to ask, what's the salary range you're looking for? Now that's a hot topic, right? I mean, that's super, nobody wants to answer that. So,
right.
Can you talk a little bit about that topic?
Yes, and I feel for you guys because, again, nobody really wants to answer that. They think, well, if I ask for too much, then they might not call me back. But if I ask for too little, then I'm selling myself short. So I totally understand how hard this is for you guys to answer this. Usually I head it off by asking if you have a desired salary range instead of one specific desired salary. So that way you can kind of, give me, and it can be a $5,000 range. It could be a $20,000 range. I just kind of want to have an idea of where your head is at in that area. I want to make sure that we're kind of playing in the same ballpark. If the number that you give me is $50,000 off of what we are, kind of looking for, then I know that there's just no point in wasting your time at that point. But if the number you give me is $20,000 off or $10,000 off, we can still have a conversation about that because if it's a little bit higher, then I might explain to you more of the benefits that we have. Did you know about our 401k? Did you know about our profit, our employee match for the 401k up to 3%? Did you know about our benefits? Did you know about our twice yearly bonuses? Not a lot of companies give bonuses twice a year. So these are kind of things that I can tell you, maybe we're a little bit off in what you're looking for, but these other benefits that we have tangible monetary worth as well. And on the other hand, I have had some occasions where people have actually given me a drastically low number. And I said, well, you know what? I think they're worth more than this. And we're very lucky in that we do government contracting. So this is something that you guys might not know. We have negotiated labor rates for the different categories. So if I see that you meet all of the requirements for that labor category and we've already negotiated a higher rate, I know that I can bring you in and maybe offer you more than you were thinking, which is also great.
So are you telling me, just to make sure that, because I think I know this, but I don't know everybody watching knows this. So a lot of the fear about saying, hey, what your salary range is that you're afraid that if you let out the cat out of the bag, per se, that if it's lower than what the salary was going to be, that then you're going to go, oh, great, we're going to pay them less. So if somebody gets their salary, you're not going to lowball them. Is that correct?
I would like to see them hired commensurate with their skills and experience. So okay. I don't want to bring somebody in at $10,000 less than what they're worth because I know that they're going to be looking for a new job because they're worth more. I want to pay as much as I can in order to make sure that they're happy here. And, in the world of government contracting, as I was just saying, we've already negotiated our rates. So if we can give you as much as possible and make sure that you're happy and want to continue working for us, it does us no good to, lowball you. And in some cases, I'm going to bring this up because I think you've had a couple of shows and blogs about this. Our negotiated rates, the profit that Zekiah makes might actually be a percentage instead of a fixed dollar fee. So in that case, if our profit is a percentage of what you're making, well, then it actually behooves us to pay you more.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think, one of the great benefits of working for a government contractor, whether it's Zekiah or another government contractor, is frequently, and most of our contracts, the more money our employees make, the more we make as a company. So we want our employees to be paid fairly. And so, it really, we want to check to make sure when we ask you what your salary range is, you certainly aren't going to be, we're going to pay you is the best that we possibly can, because that is great for all of us as a company. So those are really awesome answers. I'm glad we got into like some of the nuts and bolts and some of those hard questions, the ones that maybe are a little sticky and maybe a little uncomfortable for people to talk about. So I appreciate everything that you just gave us in terms of insight, Tina. I know that you have a wealth of knowledge just from interviewing so many people over the last few months. So I appreciate today. We are also going to talk next Tuesday at 3 p.m. and we're going to kind of flip the tables a little bit. When we have an interview, there's some things that you need to bring to the table as an interviewee, and things that you should bring to the table, and maybe things that you hadn't thought about, maybe asking us about us in terms of interviewing us as an employer. So stay tuned next week at 3 p.m. Come to our Facebook and just refresh your page so that the live feed will come up. So thanks very much, Tina, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks.
See you next time.
Bye.